Well, unfortunately, Brad, is a 1-0 defeat against Kidderminster, but overall there's quite a lot of positives to come from today. How do you sum up that performance?
Um, it's how the game I felt would go in terms of how they played, how we played, and it's so disappointing when you put so much in and limit a team like Kidderminster to so little opportunities that you don't get that bit of luck in front of goal yourselves. We created as many chances as them, most probably more. Our goalkeepers most probably had the least to do in all the games we've played so far. And the real disappointment of it all is that we put so much in and get nothing out. But the group's learning fast. You don't want to make excuses about number of players available today, but 4 or 5 experienced lads who are not available due to injury is difficult. Having young lads on the bench who are learning, but we just didn't have enough strength in depth. I think what's beat us today is their strength in depth when they make changes, and had to make a change in the first half, 3 changes at half time. They're bringing on seasoned professionals. We're bringing on relatively inexperienced lads, and it does take a little toll. Obviously, Jimmy being back today was massive. I thought he was outstanding in what he did and how he did it. It's good that we have him back. Didn't want him to play as long as he did, but Jimmy wants to play every minute of every game. Like you say, lots of positives, but ultimately disappointment that I think a fair result would have been 0-0.
I mean, touching on one of the positives you said about Jimmy Spencer coming back from injury, but you can see how well he orchestrated, especially with Tony Weston, McLean as well, Stafford really getting those chances in. And like you said, with Kidderminster in the first half, the only thing I noted was in the 36th minute, getting their first shot on target. But how positive was that to really withstand the pressure that Kidderminster had in the first half?
Well, throughout the game, I felt it was 50-50. I never felt that we were overawed with Kidderminster. Last week's performance against Merthyr was, us very under par and them good. This time it was 2 teams going at each other, and creating half chances and not really getting on the end of them. But the signs are there. With Jimmy being suspended, not injured for 5 games, he's had to train with the group without playing, which has been very frustrating for him. And it's also frustrating for the group because the group see his qualities and want to play with him. So as it develops, the group, Jimmy's role in it is important, and the lads who are playing it in and around him will feed off him more and more and learn from him more and more.
And then touching on to the second half, one of the key players that were orchestrating the second half for Kidderminster was the substitution of Morgan Spliff, who looked to be the more the physical aspect that the defence tried to overpower him, tried to do everything they can to clear, but it was almost a bit of a physical test. Did you feel like the minute he came on for Kidderminster, the storm kind of didn't weather the way you thought it would?
Well, the thing with him is, you're surprised he's not in the starting 11, even though he hasn't played the last couple of games. Once he's on, that he just plays on the edge. You have to try and foul him because he's trying to foul you, and he is very similar to Jimmy in terms of he will bully centre half if you allow him to. I felt we dealt with him quite well, but he did make a difference to them. It was more difficult for us to win first balls and then clear lines easier than it was certainly more easier in the first half when he wasn't on. But that's the quality and depth that they've got.
And then touching on obviously later on into the second half, their goal. How frustrating is it to concede that goal in that manner?
Yeah, like I say, they were bringing on, very experienced lads who played at high level, and I'm asking, players to play out of position just because of the injuries we've got. Alex Curran and Charlie Weston were outstanding today, but they just got overrun in the end by them putting on fresh legs and extra bodies in that central area. And he struck it well. It most probably went through bodies, and it is very disappointing to concede any goal. But their pressure certainly was higher in the second half up to that point. So we should have dealt with that a little bit better. Tried to deny. The thing I've been trying to do is to get us to defend central areas better, but the ball just, we had the opportunity to clear it. It hit somebody in the chest, and next minute it's falling to one of their lads on the edge of our penalty area, and he struck it well, hard and low in the bottom corner. Other team or other days when you get a bit of luck, that just deflects somewhere else, and they don't get that opportunity. But we've got to take it on the chin, dust ourselves down, and prepare for Tuesday.
Now, like you said, to dust off now, especially what's happened, but with the positives to come into now to Tuesday against a very tough side, Chorley. Obviously, done the double last season against them, but this is a whole different team and a different personality in a Precy team. How do you look into Tuesday?
Exactly as we've looked into today. Chorley's a team that's been up there, for several years and challenges year in, year out. Know the qualities they have. Everybody in the league knows where their strengths are, and it's about our lads and the character, to deal with their strengths and then, turn them half chances today into full chances and get on the end of them and put them away. So every game that we go into, we should be looking forward to knowing that we can compete with anybody and everybody at the moment if we give the type of work rate and effort that we've done today. The same at Buxton, so they're definitely learning as we go, and we're getting a little bit more out of them each time. We'll get the odd one where it's not quite there, like last Saturday, but the group is growing. Hopefully, we get a couple of players possibly back who've had these knocks, and we eventually turn performances like these into wins rather than narrow defeats or draws.